arising from the Boko Haram insurgency after assuming office in 2001, with the approval of the National Security Advisor and the Nigerian Army in 2013, his government formalized the establishment of youth volunteers called the Civilian JTF. Shetima facilitated reconstruction, rehabilitation, and resettlement of victims, with focus on expansion and remodeling of existing schools and the building of new boarding primary and junior secondary schools to cater for over 50,000 unaccompanied orphans whose parents were killed by insurgents across the 27 local government areas of the state. Adekunle, what comes to you when you listen to this detailed profile of Alhaji Kashim Shettima?
You could see, when you look at the rave of what typical Nigerian youth would use to describe an individual, they would describe somebody like Alhaji Shettima as one time this, one time that. You see how he has maintained consistency on the path of his career, and you could easily monitor the trajectory of his life. Of course, he has a developing stage, and he went through the basics of education, leading from primary to secondary and to tertiary education. Now, having said that, one of the things that are very emblematic for me in the profile of Alhaji Shettima is the fact that he shuffled between agriculture and banking, which by his profile are a very important stake and aspect of what he had studied in school. So that's why I made mention earlier that he had maintained some level of consistency. However, as he grew, we saw the dynamics in his life. Being appointed this, that, I guess Jimovia should be proud of him, because by what we've read, he had been one time this and one time that in the Zenith Bank. So I want to believe that Shettima holds a very heavy profile. If this was to be one of his curriculum vitae, we should be reading extensively, because I even want to believe that what we've just read is an abridged version of who he is. If Shettima was called today on the heels of talking about the intricacies surrounding 2023 elections, he would have more to say than we've just reeled out. That being said, until yesterday, he wouldn't have been profiled this much, if at all, because that would have been Masari wearing the shoe. So while we're still talking about the whole agitation and controversy surrounding the Muslim ticket, congratulations to Alhaji Shettima, because we would have been profiling Masari today. So it was very timely for Tinubu to have taken that step. However, for people who have a loaded profile of this nature, there's one question. How would you deploy your years of expertise into re-engineering the broken architecture of Nigeria? Because Cyprian, you would agree with me that at this moment, Nigeria is like an ailing child that runs home, seeking not for their parents to notice their state of health, goes to the bed and strap a duvet on. That's exactly what we're facing in Nigeria now. So I want to believe that having gathered this much credentials, Alhaji Shettima would be able to deploy his expertise into assisting the presidential candidate Bola Tinubu, if eventually they win the general elections, and making sure that the essence is achieved. So that's just it.
Let me take you on your mention of Masari, and it's no doubt that he he was a placeholder, holding brief for who eventually emerged as the running mate to the presidential candidate, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Again, you made mention of Nigeria as a broken child. Do you think Kashin Shetima, as a running mate to Bola Ahmed Tinubu, a Muslim ticket, will mend this broken child, as you described Nigeria?
That is a question that the level of exposure I would give to it at this moment might also result in certain backlash in different quarters of Nigeria. But be that as it may, we are in a moment where opinions vary from one quarter to the other. And it has been said that you are entitled to your opinion. However, your opinion is not a fact. So I would put it directly in that manner. Yes, we agree that the controversy surrounding the Muslim ticket, if you go by the peculiarities of what the Nigerian political landscape dictates, it holds some sort of relevance. But if we shift our focus away from the myopic view of what we are trying to achieve religiously, we will then see another light that it doesn't matter if Shetima is in the Islam sector and Tinubu as well. What matters is the quality of candidates that Nigerians are expecting, the quality of governance, what is in their blueprint, what is in their mental mind, what are they envisaging to come to reality for Nigerians. That is the question we should be asking. Now, in as much as I would love to fall back to what other countries practice. Take, for example, in China, they have different gods that they worship. However, their own process of electing their leaders is different. Okay, so that's more like even far. Let me bring it back to the United States of America. We don't have. Yes, we have Christians and Muslims in that country. If it wasn't for the COVID-19 exposure, we wouldn't have even gotten much of religious talks. Because you remember then that we had the likes of one Dr. Stella coming to say, oh, COVID-19 was targeted at Christians and the rest of that. But when it comes to their politics, for a country that has a national ideology of making America great, they don't care about the religion. When you look at the two political parties that are holding it down in that country, no one is talking about religion. People are talking about party ideology, personal manifesto, delivery method, efficiency of delivery. So, I am not trying to insult the senses of those who at this time, because social media and the mainstream media is agog with so many stories of either Muslim versus Muslim ticket, either Tinubu trying to make one justification, it's either Shetima speaking here and there. Of course, it's in the detail that Shetima actually pointed out rightly that he never wanted to be the running mate to Tinubu. That the person who was offered that particular ticket was Babangana Zulum, whom happened to be more like, quote and unquote, his godfather in the politics.
Why didn't he turn it down when it was finally offered to him?
Now, you mean why didn't Babangana?
Shetima turn it down.
Exactly. Now, according to what Shetima had said, he said the more reason why getting to announce a formal vice presidential running mate became this elongated is basically because he was waiting for Zulum to say, no, I'm dusting my hand off this case. I'm not taking it. I don't want it. And it came at the opportune moment when Zulum said, okay, I am removing myself from being Tinubu's vice presidential running mate. So that was the moment when, okay, the mantle naturally fell on Shetima Because again, by what Tinubu's thinking would have been is that if Shettima had all the while been loyal to Zulum, definitely there would have been a transcendency of Zulum's ideology and the perfection, again I'm quoting my words, Bola Tinubu happens to be seeking in Zulum is always present in Shettima. So that became the auspicious moment for Shettima to be invited on board to run as the APC vice presidential candidate, which is why I stated earlier that he is a child of positive circumstance. Because if that particular event had not ensued yesterday, we would not have been talking about Shettima this time around. If we had any reason to be talking about him, then we should be talking about him as the campaign manager for Tinubu.
Adekunle, I'm a bit taken aback when you compare Nigeria's nascent democracy with American's democracy that is over 200 years. Are you trying to say that ethnicity and religion does not play a role here in our nation polity?
Ethnicity and religion. The questions you'd rather had asked me, I'm sorry to have this seem as if I'm retorting it back to you, is what is the importance of ethnicity and religion in the Nigerian politics? How far has it taken us? Remember that some of these events dovetailed into the Nigerian Civil War, both ethnicity and religion, where certain generals were being taken out. Before you know, it sparked an ethnic war, and gradually it grew like a wildfire into what we had now established in time past in the historical lenses as the Nigerian Civil War. So when you look at it again, there are about 250 ethnic groups in Nigeria. Each person speaks a different language. If there happens to be collision, it is just a reasonable percentage of them. Now, when you turn the hourglass and we begin to sift concerning what the Nigerian politics had been all the while, you now see that ethnicity has done more damage than good to the politics. People will say, oh, he's an Igbo man. Don't give him the chance to. He's a Yoruba fellow. It's our turn. And that is why the deadly phantom in Nigerian politics, being zoning and rotation of power, is taking toll today. So I leave my submission as ethnicity has not helped Nigeria's politics in any way. If we could unanimously agree and eliminate the fact that our tongues and tribes differ, and we put Nigerians first to give Nigeria a dream, then definitely we'll be tilting towards achieving a maximum goal that would rebrand this country.
Adekunle, are you feeling very comfortable that we are about reenacting 1993 electoral process in our nation polity this 2023 after how many years of our democracy? Do you feel very, very comfortable?
It depends on how you see it, because I wouldn't want to say there are limited ways to address this issue. But again, sometimes history repeats itself, especially when we are not good students of history. Because a popular musician once said that there is a natural mystic flowing in the air. If you listen, you will hear. That is the same thing with politics. Are you listening? Are the leaders watching to make sure that they are not repeating mistakes that was done in the past? Now, in as much as it will seem like re-establishing or reenacting what had gone down in history, it is inconsequential at this moment. What is very important is that Nigerian leaders should be talking about the security of the country. They should be talking about the ailing economy of Nigeria. They should be talking about the spreading banditry and terrorism that is ravaging the country. If all these are put into consideration, then it's a forward movement, of course. People are tilting towards achieving millennialistic goals. I was reading a report last night, and I got to know that the United Kingdom has employed about 2,000 personnel to work on a new supersonic project. What are they building? They are building the next generation fighter jets. That is how critical leaders should be thinking. Don't forget that they're also currently immersed in the whole drama between Boris Johnson and the Conservative Party. Is it bothering how their development is going? No. But today, if something should happen in the leadership of the country, especially at the apex, it will whittle down to the lowest level. And everybody will be talking. That's not how it's supposed to be. The people's first. The country first. Enlighten the country. Give the country a life. Make every institution come alive. Then we can begin to talk about development.
I want to bring you back to part of the profile that we x-rayed through a while ago about the candidate of Alhaji Kashim Shettima. There was no mention of his experience in security, okay? And then the presidential candidate, I don't think there's any experience, you know. When you combine both, do you think they will make a good ticket to tackle the burning issue of insecurity in our nation, Nigeria?
Don't forget that the current, I wanted to call Elon Musk because of the allegation and he said, the current president of the United States being, what's his name again? Somebody jogging my memory. That being said, the current president of United States is not a security expert. Joe Biden, yes. Yeah. Joe Biden is not a security expert. So also was the one that exited, our friend
Donald Trump
and Barack Obama. These guys were not security experts. What did they do? That's why I made mention of the fact that you need to give the institution life. They brought life to the functional institutions that ought to tackle matters relating to security or insecurity as the case may be. Which is why you begin to ask yourself today. In fact, at the wake of the NSAS movement that took the whole of Nigeria and held it to hostage, I asked myself, I said, the police, are they supposed to be people carrying guns about? No, because of what? Failed institution. The police is supposed to have a truncheon, a stick, a baton, whatever, to control civility. But because institutions are failing, everybody is getting armed. Civil defense is bearing arms. They call it civil defense, but they are having arms. As if they are trying to protect the territorial integrity of Nigeria. So, whether Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Shettima get to sit in the office of the presidency at the end of the day, or any other presidential candidate with their vice, the important thing is how possible and how awakened are they to calling those people who are responsible to doing what they need to do. Say, get up, go get your work done. If there's anything you need to finance them, finance them. Don't forget that government and responsibility must be tied with deliberacy. If you're not deliberate about what you're doing, the country will not achieve anything. Whilst we're fighting and talking about the whole Boko Haram menace, sinking different parts of this country, you would recall that there were many scenarios when the Nigerian government, and even it was reported in the media, that certain money meant to fight security was diverted. One particular general then was indicted with a case of allegation of fraud and rest of that, and I think on his way home or something, he was ambushed and killed, probably to cover certain loopholes. So that is the country we found ourselves. Is Tinubu supposed to be a security expert? No. He's only expected to be a conscious Nigerian. And by way of what he's tilting towards, if he happens to be the president, a conscious and a deliberate Nigerian who has the country's interest at heart. Okay, I will work for my people. Don't forget, a lot of us are citing cases where some SEALs came from overseas and into our own country, took control of things, took out their citizen that was held hostage by some of the Boko Haram guys and took them out. That was an operation done with sanity. If the intention was not, if that was to be Nigeria, that person will suffer there. In fact, by the time you are going on a rescue mission, that is when that particular rescue will be blotted. Okay, look at what Femi Fani-Kayode said yesterday concerning government. He said they are not deliberate, that they are not doing what they ought to do. And in less than 2 hours or so, the defense headquarters from Abuja had responded to Femi Fani-Kayode's allegation. Now, why am I saying this? Femi Fani-Kayode is also a Nigerian leader. He lived through the 60s. However, he knows fully well that if by virtue of everything that is going wrong in the security architecture of Nigeria, a coup happens to ensue, politicians will be the first people in problem. The cleansing will start from them. So, you don't need to be a security expert. We just need you to have the people at heart, and everything will function well.
Let me take you on this before we look at the other aspects of what we'll have to discuss about the candidate we are discussing today. He moved from northern Nigeria to southern Nigeria in search of master's degree, precisely in Ibadan. What does that say about Kashim Shettima and the acculturation of both northern and southern part of our country, the ability to be able to handle situations if, peradventure, he win the presidential election?
I wouldn't want to sound as if I am breaking the tribes in Nigeria into a tribes. However, naturally speaking, 3 tribes in Nigeria are mostly known for travelers. If I should place them by ranking, the Igbos will come first.
Okay.
The Hausas will follow. Then the Yoruba. So we would have tried to inquire and get to know what exactly led to Shettima in those days, pushing. And don't forget that the University of Ibadan, still UI, it remains one of the best in Africa. So as at then, imagine what the ranking would be. So probably like every other aspiring graduate who is moving towards their postgraduate degree, he decided to shift focus and say, okay, I did all everything concerning my life here and the rest of that. Let me go to this other place and search for better opportunity. And of course, he got it. So he was probably in search of knowledge. But talking about acculturation, I have traveled to some states in Nigeria. I've got to see how people do things. I've got to relate with them. Sometimes I take a pinch of their language and I use it, especially the ones that will help me to get free transport. And I'm on the move. So you look at some of these things. Those days it was easy for you to migrate and shuttle between places. You can't try that now. The roads are not safe. If the roads happen to be safe, then the potholes are not safe. Even when the Canadian government published their report of recent, they highlighted many things. They talk about Nigerian roads. They talk about security situation. They even talked about the fact that if you decide to fly by air before you fly, they would have attacked you. Because we know that the day that some of the extremist group conducted some sort of sweep at the Defense Academy, that was the same day an airport was also attacked in Nigeria. So these were times, and that's why I become baffled to think that these people knew what beautiful times and memories were in Nigeria. It's no longer like that. I was reading a report yesterday, and the commentator, the author of that one had compared, in fact, not compared, said on ranking, Nigeria is the 13th nation with more terrorist group after Afghanistan. So what difference would it make if we're not talking about travel and today your children are playing ball outside, they hear gunshots, they continue playing the ball? It has become a normalcy. So these are what Nigerian leaders should be looking out for. How can we cancel abnormality that has now taken the place of new normal to reenact what ought to be the right sense of thinking and living. The environment is no longer conducive. Sometimes you close from work and you are saying your prayers. You don't know how to. So, these are people who understood the dynamics of moving between space. I think it's the best opportunity for them to rethink and get to change thoughts.
Adekunle, finally on the profile of our candidates for today. You mentioned three major ethnic groups, Igbo, Yoruba, and Hausa. Going through the profile, we didn't see any mention of either going for business, search of knowledge, or whatever in southeastern part of Nigeria, southern region of Nigeria. Do you think that's a minus for the running mate to Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Alhaji Ibrahim Kashim Shettima?
Sincerely speaking, I cannot take the noose to his neck for any reason. Some people have become what I call political career over the years. They've known no business, they've known no venture. All they've come to know is politics, 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 and it has become a career for them. Now, I wouldn't want to downplay the fact that many of the Nigerian leaders you see who got from scratch, say for example, I have someone who, when we got into school, he authoritatively insulted the lecturer. And the question he was asking the lecturer was, you are studying A and B degree, and you're telling me to improve at it. How much has it fetched you? Now that particular student moved from the level of being just a student to a student, it was first a class rep. From the class rep, moved to a departmental rep. From the departmental rep, he moved to being the SCG president of the school. From there, he moved to being, is now a counselor. So there's every possibility that tomorrow he might come out and say he wants to become a governor. But that being said, whilst he's doing that, he's establishing businesses. The only argument we want to make here is that were this business out of his own earnest sweat? So, I wouldn't want to judge him or pass any sort of verdict on him. However, I believe that as a fallback plan, Shettima, during the course of his years, would have established some other thing. And of course, he ventured into the academics and the rest of that. So, basically, he understood, even as a banker, he understood the simple indices of controlling money and having them work for you. So many bankers today have shares in different companies. They have equity and the rest running for them. Some of them are even running on real estate. It's just that you wouldn't have all your businesses disclosed. Part of what tried to bring down the name of Peter Obi when he said, oh, I can't disclose all the businesses because somewhere don't reside in my name, but I have some partnership with them. So that's basically what it is.
Okay, Adekunle, let's get to the second issue we are looking at, the controversies around Kashim Shettima, All Progressive Congress vice presidential candidate. In terms of housing estate, about 2 years after a housing estate named after the late Deputy Governor of Borno State, Zena Mustafa, was completed and ready for commissioning, it remains uninhabited. The state government has not been able to open the multi-billion naira story buildings along the Kanu-Meduguri Road for the use of the targeted beneficiaries. No minimum wage for local government workers. The state government is yet to implement the 18,000 naira minimum wage for workers in the local government service of the state. Also, academic staff in the state's institutions have threatened to embark on strike in the new year over unpaid backlog of allowances. In terms of economy, the state government's major challenge was stimulating the economy. Hunger and lack of means for sustenance amongst displaced persons living outside the camps have been major challenges for government in 2016. The government has not been able to tackle the swarm of beggars on the streets. Things became more difficult for citizens towards the end of the third quarter when the state government commenced the verification of its workforce. Borno State House of Assembly complex. Again, the state government has failed in its promise to build the proposed Borno State House of Assembly complex. The new building is expected to end the long-term tenancy of the legislative arm of government in a property that belongs to the Borno State Emirate Council. 2023 election. These are controversies around history. History does not forget easily. Don't you think these will rub off negatively on the candidate of Ibrahim Kashim Shettima?
Truthfully, we all have our past. It's an argument I would want to make on the logical fallacy of generalization. We all have our past. The only person I've read in recent time that came out with a clean slate is Omotola Jalade.
Interesting.
So far, so good. She's not a politician. She's a Nigerian actress who has moved to the United States of America right now.
Do you trust your
so
source?
I'm just saying it satirically.
Okay.
But in all, nobody has a clean lining. There's always one stain there. Now, remember that Shettima was also the governor of, was also a governor of Borno State at the time, if I'm not wrong. Now, the purpose of administering governments in Nigeria has so much been laid back or rested upon making promises. For in my words, vague promises. A certain governor, after losing the presidential primaries, went home and was like, every project he had earmarked is not working again. That's what you see in Nigerian politics. When you look at the issues that we are x-raying now, you saw the issue, and don't forget that the same Borno State was after the Inyanya bombing. Borno State became the talking point when terrorism got to speak in Nigeria. We were even thinking it was a speak then. Now it has dropped and repeat. Borno was the most hit. People were littered in the street. We saw videos. I had friends who were doing their national youth service then who came back with reports. Some even came back with wounds. So you begin to ask yourself that why is it that in the whole of finances, the money people have accrued, and based on the fact that some of them have even ruled certain states, there is still poverty, massive poverty, littered across the land.
Adekunle, if I get you right, are you trying to exonerate Kashim Shettima?
No, I'm not trying to exonerate anybody. In fact, that is not my job here tonight. All I'm trying to say is that it has become a custom in the Nigerian politics for some people to say when they hold power, if they don't fulfill some of the promises, nobody can hold them to account. Look at the issue of housing and some of the machineries, the machines that were mentioned here that, okay, the building remained uncommissioned. You have so many parastatals in Nigeria today where people, they just release budgets, or the ministry plans the budget and sends it to the relevant directors, and they give it to the governor or whoever is in charge. They go procure some materials, bring it back, lock it away in a room, and nobody's doing anything about it. Government is not doing anything. So when Shettima was holding power in that state, we now ask ourselves this salient question. Did he do all he was supposed to do? No. Was he guilty? I can't tell. The court will determine that. But did he have some question marks to his name? Yes. So it is only the one, although, as the lawyers will say it, you don't have a say in your own case to some extent. But he's only the one who is saddled with the responsibility of saying, this is my A and B. As a student, I handled a project for the entire school. And I was trusted with a reasonable sum of money. I can tell you that I had to account to the 0 naira of what I spent.
Adekunle, that's for you. We are looking at the candidate of Kashim Ibrahim Shettima. I want to believe you don't want to take his position.
No.
As the running mate to Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So let's limit it at that.
Okay.
And then look at some other stories making the rounds. 2023 election, Tinubu explains reasons for his choice of Shettima as VP. The presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Tinubu, on Sunday in Daura, said he chose former Borno State Governor Kashim Shettima as his running mate because he is competent and reliable. This was as he claimed that the APC has a better program for the country and is ready to serve. Tinubu said this shortly after he visited the president, Muhammadu Buhari, at his Daura home in Katsina State. Speaking shortly after a closed-door session with the president, he explained why he chose Shettima as running mate, saying, "I chose him because he is competent, capable, and reliable." Also, towards 2023, Borno Can chairman disagrees on backing Shettima's VP candidacy. The Borno State chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Bishop Nega Mohammed, has described as untrue reports on the social media that he had supported the choice of a former governor of Borno State, Alhaji Kashim Ibrahim Shettima, by the All Progressives Congress as a running mate to his presidential flag bearer in the 2023 election. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, according to him, he neither granted any interview to any journalist nor issued any press statement to that effect. Mohammed, in an interview, which said the story, which had gone viral, was taken from what he said in 2017 when Boko Haram was devastating Borno State at a time when Shettima was the governor. In his words, "I have not granted an interview to anybody and never issued any statement." Was it not yesterday, Sunday, they said they appointed him, Shettima? How come I granted interview at the APC secretariat? Nobody called me. No journalist called me, except when this thing happened, when the papers were carrying it viral. Then people were calling me. Right now, I'm somehow angry and not even composed to talk very well. The story they are carrying was in 2017 when Boko Haram was devastating Borno, when Kashim Shettima was the governor. They picked that story, and I, being CAN chairman, they now leveled it against me. I am just framed up, and I don't even have trust speaking with journalists, including you, because I don't know what else you will write. Tinubu said he chose him for competence, capability, and reliability. What do you have to say about that?
It's a stale statement in my estimation.
Okay.
Because virtually all the presidential candidates have gotten a positive thing to say about their VP or their running mates. Now, the same promises Tinubu is making, the APC as a party had made it to us before, when Muhammadu Buhari was pushing to become the president of Nigeria. So, right now, he's singing a song which rhythm has been removed from Nigerians' ears.
Adekula, I'm afraid time is not our friend here. That's the much we can take. Thank you for being part of this session.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
You can, however, follow us on our social media handles: Twitter at Atlantic TV Net, Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network. Instagram is at Atlantic TV Network. Peace and unity are the pathways to progress. I am Cyprian Obasi. Let's do this again tomorrow. Thank you.
The people, the candidates, the party, the campaigns. What really makes an election year? Enough of the rhetorics. It's time for issue-based politics. 2023 elections. Who are the candidates? What do you know about them? Take a seat, relax, and join us